Good evening and welcome to a special meeting of the Burbank Police Department and the Burbank Police Commission. This is the community engagement meeting regarding military use equipment with AB 481 on Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. The agenda is available at the front and it's also available online. We have a public comment period. To speak during public comment, members of the public may speak for 3 minutes in person or may call 818-238-3335. Members of the public who attend the meeting in the City Council chamber will speak first, following by those phoning in their comments. And I believe we will go ahead and start with our call to order.
Here.
Here?
Here.
Here.
Present.
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 Thank you. And at this point, we roll into our public comment period. Just for clarification, Sherry, I just want to confirm that we do not have a public comment period after the report, correct? Oh, wait. I take it back. There is. So we have a public comment period right now, and then we'll be going into a welcome address by Captain Lasacco. We will have a presentation of the military equipment use report, and then item F is an opportunity for general public to discuss and ask questions regarding the annual military equipment report and Burbank Police Department's funding, acquisition, or use of military equipment. So for those that are watching from home or listening in, you will be able to call in again to that 818-238-3335 number after the presentation of the military equipment use report. Do we have any public comment calls at this time?
No calls pending.
Great. And we don't have anyone in the audience, so we will go ahead and move into the welcome address by Captain Lasacco. Captain Lasacco, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Coombs, Police Commission. I'm here for Chief Albanese, who's out of town this week. So as you said, tonight is the military equipment community engagement meeting. This is an opportunity for the public to weigh in and have comment on the military equipment that is required by law by AB 481. This presentation that Sergeant Turner is going to give has already been given to the Police Commission, you may recall. So a very similar presentation is going to be given this evening. And the next iteration of this presentation will be given to City Council. Looks like probably in the forecast in April or May, where they will have questions or give approval or denial to any of the military equipment that's in the presentation that you're going to see tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you.
With that, I'll introduce Sergeant Turner for the presentation.
Sergeant Turner, welcome back.
Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
You can go ahead and start there we go. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Sergeant Steve Turner, Professional Standards and Public Information Officer for the Department. This evening we'll be discussing Assembly Bill 481, our military equipment, what it is, how it pertains to our department and our community. The equipment listed in this annual report are essential tools that may be required from time to time to aid in de-escalating intense situations and bring critical incidents to a safe resolution. While the inventory of the military equipment is varied, the mere possession of the equipment does not warrant its use for every incident. Critical incidents are unpredictable and can be very dynamic in nature. A variety of military equipment options can greatly assist incident commanders, officers, and specific units in bringing those incidents to a swift resolution in a safe manner. The military equipment is restricted for use only in certain instances and in some cases only by certain personnel. Assembly Bill 481 was introduced to increase transparency and accountability. It defined what constitutes military equipment. There are 15 categories. On September 30th of 21, Governor Newsom signed into law AB 481, which went into effect January 1 of 2022. This is our third such presentation since. What does Assembly Bill 481 mean to the department? Well, the City Council had to approve the military equipment use policy, approve our current inventory. We had to publish our military equipment report on the website, and we should hold at least one community engagement meeting annually to allow the public to ask questions and discuss the report, which we're doing this evening. This year's entire report is published on our website for the past month and will remain until next year's report. This report includes a description of each type of military equipment, the purpose, authorized use, expected lifespan, and fiscal impact. It will also include a summary of any utilization of the equipment in the past year. This presentation this evening will be an overview. We will cover a majority of the equipment we have, but not every single piece. We will discuss some of our main pieces and examples of their use. The first piece of equipment is the unmanned remotely piloted ground vehicle, also known as SWAT robots. These robots are controlled by remote control. The older, the robot pictured on the left, is equipped with audio and video relay capabilities. The robot can easily negotiate varied terrain and stairs using, as you can see, the quad, flippers, and track system. The newer, on the right side, smaller Sky Hero robot has live video feed only. It is equipped, however, with a better camera which utilizes infrared LEDs to increase video clarity and night vision. Only SWAT team members who have been trained on the robots can use them. These robots can be used remotely in various capacities. It can be used to clear buildings, open doors, and deliver equipment or items, just to name a few. It can be used in circumstances such as barricaded suspects, not only to determine the suspect's exact location, but also open lines of communication with the suspect, all while keeping the officers at a safe distance. The robots were not deployed operationally in 2024. Next are unmanned remotely piloted aircraft, also known as our drones. These drones are capable of transmitting footage in real time to the drone operator, ground officers, and to the incident commanders on scene or at remote locations. They can be operational within minutes. There's currently 7 operators trained. That training includes FAA training, interdepartmental training, as well as a test. The larger drone, pictured on the left, are for mainly outdoor high altitude use. The smaller, the Sky Hero drone, pictured on the right, are primarily designed for indoor use. As you notice, it has the enclosed blades on that smaller drone. These drones were deployed 31 times in 2024, mostly for aerial photography of traffic collisions, crime scenes, and searches, but it was also utilized at events such as the Holiday in the Park and the Mayor's tree lighting ceremony as Overwatch. Our armored personnel carrier, or commonly referred to as the Bearcat. This was purchased in 2008 with funding from the State Homeland Security Grant Program and Urban Area Security Initiative, and it was approved by City Council. This vehicle enables department personnel to perform critical response and rescue operations in a safe, secure, and highly mobile armored vehicle. This vehicle supports department personnel in any hazardous, high-risk, or critical incident which would benefit from having a vehicle that provides a high level of ballistic protection. This vehicle was deployed 5 times in 2024. In March, the department SWAT team conducted a search warrant related to firearms and narcotics investigation in the city of Los Angeles. A perimeter was established around the property, and the Bearcat was used as cover for the officers. Once that perimeter is established, those officers utilized the lighting system and the PA system on that vehicle, and they ultimately had the suspect exited the residence and surrendered without incident. In May, the department SWAT team assisted the ATF Gun Violence Task Force with the service of a search warrant in the city of Palmdale. A perimeter was established around the property, and the Bearcat was used as cover for the officers. The suspect exited the residence and surrendered without incident. Command and control vehicle, also known as our mobile command post, is a completely self-contained command post designed to provide the incident commander with mobile base of operations. This command post contains the specialized command, control, and communications equipment to assist with the incident. The command post also serves as a backup communications center in the event of our communications center fails. It can be deployed to prolong investigations at crime scenes or during natural disasters, for example, our 2017 Lutuna fire, to assist in coordinating resources and/or evacuations. The command post is also on display for events such as National Night Out, Police and Fire Service Day, or similar events. The mobile command post was not deployed operationally in 2024. Noise flash device, commonly referred to as a flashbang. The noise flash device or flashbang is a device that creates a bright flash and loud sound to temporarily divert the attention of a subject in the immediate area. NFDs are used to distract and temporarily incapacitate dangerous suspects by overwhelming their senses of vision and hearing. The distraction allows officers to seize a moment of opportunity to take control of high-risk situations. This device is only used by our SWAT team. The noise flash devices were discharged on 2 occasions operationally in 2024. On one such occasion in October, the department's SWAT team assisted the Pasadena Police Department SWAT team with the service of a search warrant related to an armed robbery investigation. A perimeter was established around the property, and the Bearcat, as we mentioned before, was used as cover for the officers. After making numerous announcements, officers did not observe any movement inside the residence, and no one had come out the front door. 2 noise flash diversionary devices were deployed to the exterior portion of the front of the residence, and the occupants quickly responded to the front door, exited, and were detained by officers. The suspects were taken into custody without incident. Chemical agent delivery devices. What we have are CS and OC. The difference between CS and OC are their chemical makeup. CS is a synthetic compound. OC, also known as pepper spray, is a combination of natural compounds. Individuals who may be under the influence of an unknown substance may be resistive to one or the other, and that's why we have both. If an individual is exposed, individuals are treated by flushing out the infected area with water by paramedics on scene and then transported to a local hospital for further treatment if needed. Chemical agent devices were not discharged operationally in 2024. Another type of our chemical agent device is the MK9 stream aerosol. The MK9 is another type of OC delivery device. It is an easy-to-use trigger handle and will deliver a short burst of OC at an effective range of 18 to 20 feet. This OC aerosol product utilizes a stream or wand, seen pictured, delivery method, providing a target-specific, strong, concentrated stream at a greater distance. The MK9 aerosol was utilized once in 2024. Back in January of 24, officers responded to a local auto body shop regarding a burglary in progress. The first officers arrived on scene and upon their arrival observed the suspect inside the business. They gave commands. The suspect failed to listen and barricaded himself deep inside that business. Burbank Police Canine officer responded to the scene shortly thereafter to assist. After numerous minutes of giving the suspect commands and the suspect failing to comply, the canine officer deployed his canine. The canine alerted to the suspect's scent. However, to do where the suspect's location, the suspect was located in an upper crawl space of the business, and due to that location, the canine was unable to contact that suspect. Officers then decided to use less lethal OC spray as the suspect continued not to comply. Shortly after deploying the OC, the suspect began to cough and started to listen to officers and was taken into custody without further incident. Kinetic energy weapon. This is our pepper ball launcher. As it looks, very similar to a paintball launcher. This system uses a high pressure air to deliver chemical agent powder projectiles. It has an effective deployment range of 5 to 60 feet. The pepper ball launcher was discharged once operationally during 2024. Kinetic energy weapon, 40 millimeter launchers. The Defense Technology 40 millimeter single shot launcher and the Sage Control Ordnance Deuce 40 millimeter dual shot launcher are less lethal systems. They are not firearms. They use a smokeless powder to deliver 40 millimeter projectiles from a safe distance. Kinetic energy projectiles, when used properly, are less likely to result in death or serious physical injury and can be used to de-escalate a potentially deadly situation. Last year, I shared a situation with you in where we utilized it with an individual with a knife who wasn't complying. We tried OC, some pepper spray, that wasn't working, and it ultimately was the 40 millimeter projectile that brought that to a safe resolution. As far as 2024, the launchers were not discharged operationally. I want to cover an incident that occurred, excuse me, on July 31st. This incident, as you can see, shows the proper use of the equipment and how it created that time, that distance to ultimately bring that situation safely to an end. So on July 31st, BPD Patrol conducted a traffic stop of a vehicle for vehicle code violations. After contacting the driver, BPD officers were notified that the driver, who was the sole occupant of the vehicle, had an outstanding warrant for weapons possession, and the officers attempted to have the driver exit the vehicle. The driver refused to exit the vehicle. One of the officers then deployed their OC. However, the suspect still did not listen to their commands and still did not exit the vehicle. After some time, the patrol requested SWAT and SWAT equipment to respond to the scene. SWAT arrived on scene and ensured a proper perimeter was established, which included the use of the Bearcat, one of the items we discussed earlier. SWAT continued to make announcements to the driver with our crisis negotiator personnel. After numerous PA announcements and attempted phone calls to the driver's cell phone, the driver continued to refuse commands or exit the vehicle. SWAT then breached the rear window of the vehicle and deployed one noise flash diversionary device, which caused the driver to move but not exit the vehicle. After some time, officers deployed pepper ball munitions carrying the OC powder into the interior area of the vehicle. Still would not exit the vehicle. The interior drone, the Sky Hero, was flown into the vehicle and rested on the dashboard, which provided the officers the ability to monitor the driver. Again, safety and distance. The driver ultimately exited the vehicle and was taken into custody without further incident. He was treated for chemical agent exposure at a local hospital before being booked in the Burbank PD jail. I find that that's a good example of where we utilize several of these items. The Burbank Police Department currently possesses 11 different items that fall under the military equipment classification as defined by Assembly Bill 481. There are multiple layers of oversight in the use of this equipment. This annual military report reaffirms the Burbank Police Department's commitment to providing transparency and information to our community and elected officials in addition to ensuring the compliance with the law. The equipment outlined in this report allow Burbank police officers to better protect our community and bring critical incidents to a safe resolution. Like I've said many times before, this equipment provides time and distance. That time and distance is essential in resolving critical incidents safely. That concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Sergeant Turner. Let's go ahead and open up to commissioners for questions that you may have. Paul, go ahead.
Sergeant Turner, when the command and control vehicle is used for things like police and fire day and things, is that also a training opportunity for the personnel?
Absolutely, it's an opportunity of everything. It's an opportunity. It's a training opportunity for those officers who are drive that vehicle, and it's also gives us a chance to open it up and check it out. And
So it's a
make sure
testing
the
of the
equipment's
equipment
good.
as well as
Yep.
just a show. Thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. Ann, go ahead.
I have not a long question, but a question. So I'm looking at the diversionary devices, and then I look at the other ones that are apparently selected in some kind of an order. Is there an order when one goes to a scene, an incident, say July 31st of this year, and is there an order that things are tried, like less damaging, or? And
So
who makes that decision then? Is it SWAT because SWAT's trained?
obviously, when it comes to the SWAT equipment, it'll be the SWAT commander makes those ultimate decision. Every situation is different. In this particular situation, they followed that particular order, but that's not necessarily set in stone. Whatever opportunity presents itself, we try to find the best piece of equipment to bring that resolution safely to a close. You know, in this case, they tried to introduce the pepper balls into the car. They tried to scare them out with, just throwing the noise flash diversionary device into the car. Take them, you give more commands. There's in between each one of these instances, there's more time of lack of a better term, reflection and talking and trying to negotiate and to get this individual safely into custody. So there's no set list. There's our officers, our SWAT officers are proficient in all this equipment, and depending on the situation, they'll select what they deem is the best for
Makes
that
sense.
part.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Do we have any other questions? Mike, go ahead.
Can I borrow your?
Yeah.
Good. Good evening. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome, sir.
I've got a couple of questions. I was comparing the numbers of the amounts of equipment that we had in '24 compared to '23, and there were some variations. And I noticed that in the summary, it says, it explains, it says we use some of it, you know, or we may be using it for training. That's not included in the report. The items that were used. I've got like 4 of one item, 6 of another item, something like that, where we're down. Is there a report somewhere that shows what happened to those items?
It is, so any use of those items that we have in an actual instance is documented in the military equipment report. Any use of any of these items in a real world scenario is documented in the report. You're asking if there's a documentation if we've used it in training?
Yeah. You've got 50 or something, and 25 are not available anymore. Is it, used for training? Was it used in operations, or?
If there's a discrepancy in the numbers, the numbers that would be used, the numbers in the report reflect when we've used them in real world operations. There are times where they'll use it for training at the range, or SWAT personnel, or what have you. For example, a lot of these, especially when you talk about chemical agent devices, have about a 5-year shelf life. A lot of these, and for the next report, are coming up on that 5-year life. So most, if not all, will be deployed for training or destroyed.
All right. And will that be included then in the report next year?
The only way it'll be included in the report would be if it's, the only items that are included in the report are items that are used during situations, not during training or for destruction or anything like that.
I'm sure this is all locked up and everything's under.
Yes,
But these are also, some of these things could be kind of dangerous.
yes.
And wouldn't want to be in the wrong hands, and just,
So on top of, outside of the report, our SWAT team conducts an annual audit of this equipment. So they'll have an audit of how much we have, but that audit's also included in our report as far as the numbers are concerned. But as far as real world events, that's the only thing you'll see reflected in this report.
last question, or last statement maybe, and we've discussed this in reports in the past. A lot of the items have their useful life period,
Yes,
and it has the purchase amount and the quantity.
yes.
It does not include the date it was purchased. So if something says it, for example, it'll last for 5 years, well, 5 years since when? And that's not included in the report this year or last year. And I'm suggesting that they do
I
that.
believe, I'll look through the report again, because I believe a lot of it does, some of our larger items as far as the Bearcat command, our command post, that has the purchase dates on it. I think what you're referring to is probably some of our chemical agents, and I could look to see what, like, we have an inventory list of when those were purchased, and maybe start including those on future reports.
Yeah, it seemed like that would make sense so we have an idea how long. And you also have to plan eventually for replacement of equipment or.
Yes,
Yeah, so that would be a handy feature to have in the report.
yes,
Thank you.
you got it.
Mike, go ahead.
No, I was just going to point out the shelf like
Okay, all right, thank you. Leila, go ahead.
I guess, thank you again for being
You're
here. I have just a related question to what, based on what Commissioner Chapman just said, but is that audit public, or is that something you could share with the commission? I don't know, just, to answer any
Well, the
questions
audit of the
folks may
equipment that we have, including all these items, is included in full in the report. Mr. Chapman, what I'm concerned about is that you said we used 1, 2, 3 of these gas containers on a traffic stop or a search warrant. And now we use 3 of these canisters up at the range during a regular training day. That would probably be included in some type of SWAT training manual, but reflective in the actual numbers that we have. I could work with our SWAT team and see if we could make, if that's even possible to count how many they're using on a particular training day, if that's the training evolution that they're doing.
So that would be inventory control. Do we ever share with like Glendale or other communities?
We're contractually through mutual aid. We help all our fellow agencies, and as the example where we assisted Pasadena with a search warrant, but again, that's our personnel utilizing that equipment.
Certainly, if Glendale or Pasadena or somebody called us and said they needed some equipment for a situation, we certainly would be in a position to share the equipment with them. And in fact, we've shared the Bearcat
Yep.
on multiple occasions where we needed 2 for a warrant or for a situation where we would utilize 2 or 3 at any given time. So we would share equipment as needed for sure, and that would definitely, no questions asked, would go both ways.
Would a SWAT team member or several members also go along with that equipment that's shared?
Most likely, so we don't mix teams.
Or
So
Burbank.
unless the teams are training together, either on a SWAT team or even investigators that are doing search warrants, as practice, we don't mix our teams. So either Burbank would serve the warrant, or Glendale would serve the warrant, or the Sheriff's Department would serve the warrant, but we would not commingle personnel on any sort of operation at any given time. So if they needed to borrow equipment, like a Bearcat, certainly we would send somebody to drive it. But if they called us and said they needed, 100 pepper balls, we would give those to them, no problem. We wouldn't necessarily have to send personnel.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the other departments because that's kind of related to my question. Do we have a sense of, our military equipment inventory as relates to a similar size city? I know Glendale's actually it's twice as many people, but relatively similar, or Pasadena or anything like that. Do we have a sense, or also are there considerations where we say, hey, we're not going to get that because we know we have a, mutual aid and, we help each other out when
There's
that
definitely,
situation
again,
arises.
that's, our SWAT commanders, and obviously in looking at, best practices and in working with teams such as Glendale or Pasadena or even LA and see what works and what doesn't, definitely would reflect on certain items we may want to purchase for future, or certain items that we steer away from because of Glendale, Pasadena says it's no good or whatever it is. As far as their inventory, I'd imagine I couldn't answer as far as their inventory.
I think for the most part, we have our inventory, and then based upon what has happened in the past, we might have an incident, and every incident that Sergeant Turner's talked about, we have a debrief, and an expansive debrief where all the personnel are involved, and it gets debriefed all the way up to the command staff level. And quite frequently, we will find needs in equipment, and that's kind of how we decide, do we need an extra one of these or an extra 4 of those, is through past experience, and we kind of add or subtract in that regard. Maybe a tool is no longer as good as it used to be, and we need to see for an advancement in technology. Just like everything in technology, there's an evolution that is unbelievable sometimes. So like in the tasers, for instance, I think they're on version like
We're
8
version-
or 9,
yeah,
10 something.
10.
I think they're on 10. So, there's an evolution to the technology. So that's how we decide how many we may need of something. When I was working patrol, we might have had 4 of the 40 millimeter launchers. I think now we probably have.
We have 16 of the single and 2 of the double, and those were brand new ones.
So almost
double
every
launchers.
car, pretty close, 2/3 or more of the cars on patrol have the available quick response of a 40 millimeter launcher, and that's just through need. If we need it, we want it there, so we recognize that, and that's why we've been able to purchase more and more. And if we found we weren't using something, we would reduce the number, obviously.
Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Sergeant Turner. You mentioned the expediency of getting a drone in the air. Obviously, faster than a helicopter. But looking at it more from like the city council's point of view, what would the economics of that be? How much money are we saving? Even if we have to spend more money on a more advanced drone, how much money are we saving by using drones rather than calling the air support in?
Well, most definitely the drones are quick. They're stored at the station and they could be operational within minutes. But by no means, they supplement our aircraft, but by no means can they operate individually of each other. The drones cannot replace our helicopters. Our helicopters are up for extended periods of time and be readily available if during their flight hours to a situation as it's unfolding. You have live live officers providing real-time information and their expertise. The drones have limitations as far as battery life and where they can and can't go and other equipment needs. But yes, the price difference between a helicopter and a drone is, vastly different. But please understand they're very unique as well. Not one without the other.
I'll jump in at this point. I appreciate, Sergeant Turner, thank you for the presentation as well. I just wanted to make a comment. I was listening to some of our colleagues here and thinking about prior years' presentations as well. And one of the things, Mike, specifically to the comment that you had brought up as well, I appreciate that the commission is making recommendations on ways that might make the report clearer, more detail-oriented, more detailed and focused. The one thing I do want to lift up, and this is for the commissioners, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I recall the last two presentations that we've received on this, the focus has really been on providing what the requirement of the Assembly bill is and not necessarily expanding the report, because this is yet another task that the department has to look at in terms of managing workload. So I just wanted to lift that up, that these are questions that I think very good questions, and we should be asking those questions as far as whether they should be required in the report or not. And correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that there's been a real intentional precedent set to only report out on what's required per the legislation and try not to go beyond that, so that way there's not scope creep. Is that still the case?
That's absolutely correct,
Okay.
Mr. I mean, it's absolutely correct. To your point, again, very good question. But again, the report is the use of, specifically the use of involving our community and those real-time uses of it. Definitely could take some of your questions under consideration, and but definitely what you were saying.
Yeah. And it won't preclude us. We can always agendize and come back to specific items when we're looking at things that are in inventory or something. Those are things that we can develop as agenda items for the commission. But whether it's included in the report or not, we may not necessarily need to do that. I think, Ann, you had one more comment?
I don't know whether well, first of all, I forgot to say, very good report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I guess my question, excuse me, I have laryngitis. Any concern about sending a drone in? Has any drone ever been destroyed or damaged when sent into a scene?
No, it hasn't, and it's not really a concern. Again, all these tools, that's the idea of the tool, is much rather have a drone get hurt than an officer get hurt, right? And so again, it creates that time and distance. You could replace a drone, you can't replace an officer.
Thank you for answering that.
So what I'd like to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and repeat the number. It's 818-238, I'm sorry, make sure I got this right, 238-3335. Almost read the wrong number. And we're moving into item F, which is the opportunity for general public to discuss and ask questions regarding the annual military equipment report and the Burbank Police Department's funding, acquisition, or use of military equipment. I don't think we have any comments from the audience today. Do we have any callers right now? No callers? No? Okay, so we have no callers. So with that, we will go ahead and conclude this special meeting and adjourn at this time. I want to thank you, Sergeant Turner, again for presenting this evening, and thank everyone for attendance. We will be reconvening at 6 p.m. for the regular scheduled meeting of the Burbank Police Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.